Hello and welcome to Haunted Minecraft. For those of you who know me, you would know that I'm obsessed with Minecraft. What you don't know is I like the paranormal as well, so I decided to mix the two together to create a series where I build real-life haunted locations in Minecraft. I created a mod pack specifically for this series, which I will provide in the description of this video. This video alone took me 7 months to do, so like and share would be appreciated. This Rhode Island farmhouse is an authentic colonial home dating back to 1736. The land itself was deeded in 1680 by John Smith. He was an English settler who played an important role in the establishment of the first permanent English settlement in America in the 17th century. The original estate was large, taking up more than 1,000 acres. The land was sold off into parcels, so now there's only around 100 acres, which is still pretty large. Now that you know some history of the land, let me introduce you to the Arnold Estate, or famously known as the Conjuring House. It's known as the Conjuring House because the hauntings that happened here inspired the Conjuring movie series. We will start off the tour in what the current owners of the house, the Heinzens, call the safe room or security room, as not too much activity has happened here except maybe a shadow figure. The paranormal stories I will tell you are from the Perrons, whose story inspired the Conjuring series, and the Heinzens, who are the current owners of the house and can give a modern account of the activity going on. The Heinzens bought the house because they are paranormal investigators themselves, and they appreciate the American and paranormal history of this house. One thing I find neat about this room is the signatures of all the paranormal teams that have investigated the house on the wall. The Perron family signed as well. I decided not to include the signatures in the build because they would look not that great in Minecraft, as I'm sure you can imagine. This room, I think, was the parlor, which is like a living room meant to entertain guests. When they first moved in, the Heinzens used this room as their bedroom because they felt safer in here than the rest of the house. They did still experience some activity though. The father and son both saw a shadow figure over here, and the wife and one of their friends saw a shadow figure open the door to peek in and then close the door. The two of them excitedly high-fived each other since they are both paranormal investigators, so an experience like this is like riding a roller coaster to them. Since we're on the topic of move-in stories, we will be skipping these rooms for the moment. On move-in day for the Perron family, the paranormal activity started right away. While the family was moving in, the previous owner was moving out the last of his things. One of the girls, Andrea, was instructed to bring a box from the moving truck to the kitchen. When she made her way to the dining room, she saw the old owner and a strange man wearing all clothes for the time. She said hello to the strange man, and he didn't acknowledge her. When she told her mother about the strange man, she said that there was no one else with the previous owner. One by one, the rest of the girls came in to tell their mother about the strange man. Finally, the last girl to see the stranger came in and said, "You know that strange man in the dining room? He just disappeared." Since we're in here, I have another story for you. This happened in the bathroom. You'd think in the bathroom you would be safe, right? Well, this is one of the most haunted houses in America, so you're not really safe in any room. One day, Carolyn Perron, the mother, was taking a shower when the neighbor came over with cake to share with the family. Andrea let the neighbor in and told her mother that the neighbor was over. The whole family and the neighbor were in the dining room waiting on her when they heard her screaming from a closet between the bathroom and the kitchen. They used this closet to keep warm while drying and getting dressed. There were these thick wooden hangers that were left from the previous owner. When the family opened the closet, everyone watched in disbelief and horror as they witnessed their mother being beaten by a hanger. Unfortunately, I forgot to build the closet, as I didn't know it was important until after the build was finished. As far as the kitchen goes, I haven't found too much evidence in my research other than the reports of sounds and seeing shadows from the window. It's very likely there are stories from here though. Now let's backtrack to the baking room and the seance room. I know I just piqued your interest by saying seance room. Today, this would be considered the living room, but back in the day, this is where they would bake things since the fireplace has a slot for baking bread. This is what it looks like in person. As with much of the house, there have been reports of footsteps, shadow figures, and so on in this room. A common misconception is that there was a doll named Annabelle connected to this house, as they included a possessed doll in the movie series. The Annabelle doll is a real possessed doll, but it was not connected to this house. The Heinzens have multiple Raggedy Ann dolls throughout the house as a nod to the movies, since the real Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll. Now this room is the seance room. The Perron family had held seances in this house before, with the help of paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. But there is one night when they were holding a seance where the mother got attacked by a spirit. She was thrown from the seance room halfway into the baking room. That had to be terrifying. This is the library. At one time this was a bedroom, but was converted to a library at some point since there was paranormal activity that scared whoever slept in here. Today, the library is known for toys, also known as trigger objects, being moved, as well as a blue book called Moral Relativity being thrown from its shelf. I'm not sure if the title of the book has anything to do with why it's thrown, but I figured it was worth mentioning. Moving on to the upstairs, where even more activity happens. There's this crawl space where Cindy Perron would play with toys as a child. There was a day when she was playing with her toys, and there was a skinny blonde boy who appeared before her. She described him as having watery blue eyes, like he had been crying, and his hair was wet. They would play together often, and he eventually warmed up enough to tell her his name, which is Richard. It's been said that a child did drown in one of the ponds on the property, so I personally think that if that is true, he may be the one that drowned. Now, this was the parents' bedroom, from what I understand. There were many times when the mother, Carolyn, had been tormented by a spirit, which is thought to be the wife of the previous owner who hanged herself, or possibly a witch in the area named Bathsheba. The spirit of the previous owner is known as the Crooked Neck Lady, and has been seen throughout the property, including by children who drew her picture on a chest that is now in the basement. Bathsheba is a woman who is believed to have been a witch. She may have cursed the land, as well as murdered one of her own children on the property. There's no official record of this, though. There were a few occasions where the spirit would speak to Carolyn in order to torment her. The most significant time being when the spirit pinned the mother to her bed and started chanting threats. Something Carolyn noted is the way the spirit spoke. It was from a different time and a little hard to understand. This room was where some of the girls slept. There are multiple occasions where the girls would be seeing shadows in here, feeling their feet getting grabbed, blankets messed with, and of course, creepy voices. There was one night when one of the girls, Cindy, heard this voice, or more like voices, that all repeated over and over, "There are 7 dead bodies buried in the walls," which is very disturbing even to an adult. The night Cindy heard those voices, she made her way to Andrea's room over here, and told her the story, and understandably spent the night with her. As far as activity goes, this room is very similar to the one we just came from. The only difference is you can on occasion hear crying or screaming coming from this window on the outside. This is the birthing room. It's called that because it was common for mothers back in the day to give birth at home, and sometimes there would be a room dedicated to giving birth. I haven't heard too many stories about this room other than footsteps. I just decorated it this way to have some fun with what the mod pack has to offer. Now let's have some fun in a creepy basement. I do not apologize for how dark it is down here because it looks awesome and you know it. Down here there have been reports of being touched specifically on the back. This goes as far back as the Perron family, as it is the father that reported being touched when he would go down here. This includes the reports of voices, footsteps, and seeing shadow figures just like the rest of the house. And that concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said earlier, this video took me around 7 months to do, so a like and feedback would be appreciated. There are many more haunted stories that have happened in this house that I could not include due to time and my own sanity, so I do greatly encourage you to look up more information on the house on your own. The next house I will be building is the Velisca Axe House, which I've actually started building. Let me know what you would like to see me build after that. I love your faces, and I'll see you in the next video.
But could you love her? A haunted, haunted house. Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted. I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you'll just take it out. A haunted, haunted. I'm a haunted house.